Hi, this is Mike from Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and on today's video we're taking a look at the Lian Li 206. Now this case actually came out quite a while back, but it's recently come down significantly in price, and I think it makes an excellent choice for budget builds, or actually even for mid-range builds. It's got some really cool features, excuse the pun, with these 160mm fans up front, which are included in the price. And talking of the price, at the moment here in the UK, you can pick this up for £54.95 plus postage from overclockers.co.uk. I have seen it on Amazon for around about 60, so potentially either way may be an option for you. Of course, as always, we'll put affiliated links in the video description so you can check out local pricing near you. I think this is actually one to definitely look out for. Now, we've seen quite a few Lian Li products on the channel over the years, and this is very reminiscent of some of the better ones. In fact, I really like this case. I've not done a build in it yet, but basically it's going to be very similar to the 216, I think it was, and the 207. Just a slightly different layout, and obviously the price is significantly better. At £55, I think this is an absolutely cracking deal, considering the fans are probably worth, I don't know, 15, 20 quid on their own. So the rest of the case is like 35 quid's worth, which is absolutely excellent. And surprisingly, it does have very good build quality. And what we're going to do today is go through, do a teardown, look at all the case, go through the pros and the cons, of which there are not many cons, to be completely honest with you. So I think this is going to be one which is going to be a hot seller. It doesn't seem to be that popular for some weird reason. I don't quite understand why, but hopefully after this video you'll understand how good this case is and what a cracking value proposition it actually is. So we'll start off with what you get in the box. Obviously, you get the case itself, available in either black or white, and it comes with the two 160mm ARGB fans. It also comes with the integrated fan controller as well, and fan hub. So basically you've got buttons on the top so you can control either the inner ring or the outer ring of the fan. So the fan itself, which is opaque, or the actual ring around the outside edge. So that gives another kind of hidden dimension to what this case offers, a little bit of extra when it comes to the RGB lighting. Now you can connect this up to a traditional motherboard using a 5V 3-pin addressable RGB header. There's like a pass-through. The actual system itself, the fans and also the controls on here, are powered by a SATA plug, which is wired into the back of the system. But you can just plug the PWM headers from the fans straight into your motherboard, and the fans standard rotation looking around about sort of 500 RPM up to around about 1600 RPM, so pretty decent. And they do appear to move a lot of air, as you'd expect from 160mm fans. So other things included in the box, not a great deal. You do get a Lian Li box with some spares and also some cable ties, all that kind of usual stuff. And also there is a instruction guide or booklet which tells you about the case in some depth, and actually really nicely done. Very handy to have a quick look at if for some reason you find there's something which you don't quite understand. So I suppose we'll start off with the front section. So the front section, as you can see, we've got this really nice tight mesh. Now this actually doubles up as a filter as well, so there's no additional filters required. This tight mesh does exactly what it's meant to. So it filters dust and also allows airflow. In order to remove it, it's very simple to do. There's a little indentation at the top here, so you just grab it and pull outwards. You hear it click. It's on pogo pins, and it's actually held in at the bottom on two kind of little teeth. So just a little wiggle and it'll come out, and there you can see there's the teeth at the bottom. Those are metal, so they're not likely to break, which is excellent. And this whole panel is metal, so nice and easy to keep clean, and obviously it's not going to get damaged. If you put it down somewhere and accidentally put things on it, it's not going to crease or bend, which is excellent. And behind that we can see the fans here. And actually something they've done really cleverly on here as well is, in order to make it so that the airflow is channeled in correctly and it's not kind of recirculating, there's an actual outside frame around the fans as well, which make it even larger. So that stops the kind of backdraft effect. So you just get your nice clean air going in. And of course you've got the fans there. You've probably seen for some B-roll I filmed a little bit earlier, the different fan setup for lighting. So again, you can do the outer ring one color, and you can do the fan blades themselves another. So maybe if you want to have white blades and rainbow puke around the outside, or whatever you want to do, you can basically choose whatever you want to do. Although if you do plug it into a motherboard and use motherboard control, you then only have control of the kind of overall RGB effect. You don't get to control the inner and outer, so do bear that in mind. Something else to bear in mind is the fact that these fans are 160mm, so not your standard setup. If for some reason you want to swap these out and put something else in, there is actually a bracket, which we'll take a look at next. If I take this front panel off, which is actually quite easy to do, it's like a grab handle on the bottom, so we'll just pull that off. And now you can see the fans in a little bit more detail. So this is a plastic frame. So you just put that to one side for now. And again, you can see the fans. There's the pass-throughs on the side for the cable management. And also you can see there's these thumb screws, one in each corner. So there's actually a rail system involved here. So if you do want to swap out the fans, which I really would advise against, part and parcel of why this case is so good and why it costs what it does is because of these fans are pre-installed. So it's a really good option. You can't use them anywhere else. They won't physically fit anywhere else in the case. So if you do take them out, they're kind of useless. So I would leave them where they are. But if for some reason you do want to, you can actually move these outer rails. So they'll fit either 160, 140 or 120mm fans. So if you do want to put 120s in, you can put 3 120s, 2 140s, or of course the 2 160s, which are included straight out of the box. So if you do want to actually put some water cooling in here behind this front section, you can put in a 280 or a 240 radiator, or maybe smaller if you wanted to, and have some sort of push-pull configuration going on. That choice is entirely up to you. Again, I would probably recommend against it. Have this as your main air intake and have the top section for a radiator if you want to, which you can put up to a 360mm radiator in the top, so 360, 280, 240, etc. So that's absolutely fine. And in the top as well, if you don't want to put a radiator, you just want to put more fans in, you can put 3 120s or 2 140s in there. And on the back, there is a slot for a single 120mm fan. So I think that's pretty much it for the front panel. Let's take a look at the side panel. So again, we've got this nice mesh on the bottom here. So if you want to, you can actually mount more fans on the basement section. So they'll be pulling cool air in and possibly pushing them into the path of your graphics card, which is something which they've actually done as standard with the Lian Li 207, which we've also reviewed. Strongly suggest you check that out if that is something which you possibly might end up doing. So you can put 2 fans on the bottom and this will push cold air towards your graphics card. The thing being with the 207, they've moved it so the power supply is in this front section, whereas in here the power supply is going to be towards the back. So if you do put a fan in this rear section, it's kind of going to be fighting against your power supply for air. So I would probably advise against that, but a single one on the bottom there will be absolutely fine. Although that will also block some of the cable management options in the bottom there, which we'll take a closer look at now if we take this side panel off. Side panel is nice and easy to remove, so you've got 2 thumb screws, just loosen those off, and when you do, it doesn't want to fall off straight away, which is excellent. So in order to remove it, slide the glass slightly backwards towards the back of the case and then lean it forward, and this is held in place by those little tags on the bottom there. The glass is nice and thick, 4mm, and this is a completely clear glass. If you go for the black version, there is a very slight tint to it. So now we can see inside a little bit better. So again, like I said, you've got this mesh section on the bottom. There is a single screw, it's a non-captive one, just a crosshead screw. You can undo that, and this section will actually be able to take out. So if you want to do any maintenance down here, you can do. This section, all hexagonal mesh on the bottom, and again, you've got the mounting points there for 2 fans if you want to. So 2 120s, one there, one there. But like I said, there is a pass-through here for your graphics card. So for wiring up your graphics card, nice and easy to do. Just pass it through the bottom there and straight into your graphics card. That's a really nice touch. Or alternatively, you've got the holes at the back there for passing things through, such as your HD audio, USB connections, power button switch, all those types of things. Also, something they've considered, if you do want to actually put some sort of water cooling in this front section, there is actually a removable plate there, or panel. So 1 screw there, and you can pull that out. That will give you a bit more depth. So if you do want to put a radiator and more fans in a push-pull configuration, those can fit in there. Again, I would probably advise against it. Other things of note, even though this is a relatively inexpensive case, you've still got some nice pass-through grommets there for cable management purposes, and also you've got some GPU supports as well. So there is a GPU support which is adjustable, which will go up and down there, so keeping your graphics cards nicely in place. We'll take graphics cards up to 385mm in length, so basically right up to here. Obviously if you're putting a radiator and more fans in, that is going to reduce it significantly, obviously depending on how thick your radiator and fans are, but do take that into consideration. But you can fit in GPUs up to 385mm. When it comes to CPU coolers, if you're going for air cooling, you can put an air cooler up to 170mm in depth. And for those of you wondering power supply wise, there's absolutely tons of room in there, but they do suggest a maximum of 200mm. So other points of interest, at the top you've got loads of room here, so if you put in a radiator and fans in the top, not going to have any issues with clearance for VRMs or RAM, which is obviously a good thing. You've also got the room, like I said, 120mm fan on the back, and also nice big cutout there, so if you're putting some sort of custom cooling in there, need to gain access to the back, very easy to do indeed. Also, they've pre-installed the standoffs for your motherboard in the ATX standoff positions, and the central one is a locating lug. So if you're not too sure if your motherboard's in right, that will make sure that it's completely well centered. Other than that, other things which are desirable but not always a given at this price point is the fact you have totally removable PCI Express blanking plates. They're on just normal screws, not quick release screws or thumb screws, which is a little bit of a shame, but not the end of the world. And also they're the nice hexagonal mesh. Basically all the perforations on here, other than the front panel and the top panel magnetic filter, are all hexagonal mesh, which hexagonal mesh is generally the best for airflow in terms of its structural stability, its strength, and also the amount of air that can actually pass through it. In case you're wondering as well, motherboard wise, this will support ATX. You might be able to squeeze in an eATX, although they don't specifically say so. Depending on the board, there's a little bit of a kind of a weird format, so you might want to measure up the board, or alternatively just ask us in the comment section. I'll try and measure up for you if you've got any problems. But yeah, ATX, micro ATX, ITX, all those will fit in there with no problems at all. Moving around to the back of the case, so as you can see, 120mm fan, a little bit of adjustment height wise, IO shield, and you've got your PCI Express blanking plates. Something which I like about these, actually, they've got the ones where the kind of the finger or the lug goes around the side, so they're a little bit less likely to make that kind of usual Lian Li noise, which sometimes sounds like that as you're kind of moving by it, or if you tap near it, you get that kind of rattle or reverberation. So those are actually done quite well, like those lots. ATX power supply section at the bottom there, so ATX power supplies up to 200mm, as we've already said. There is also a removable filter. Actually, I quite like this one. Just push it down, slide it out, and it's got that nice nylon mesh to it. And also, when you're putting it back in, it's actually relatively easy to do, he says. Nope, that didn't work. There we go. There. It would have been nice if it was a full-length filter and you could remove it from the front, just so you don't have to move your PC around too much, but I think for £55 we can certainly overlook that. It's extremely functional, and again, hexagonal mesh on the bottom to keep your power supply nice and cool. Next we'll take a look behind the back panel. So back panel, again, captive thumb screws on there, which is always nice to see. And the metal itself is actually quite thick, a little sturdy, got a bit of a wobble to it, but once it's in place, it's absolutely fine and won't move at all. So this is where we have a little bit of fun in the back here and seeing what's going on. So again, lots of pass-throughs. So for your EPS connector there, fans, RGB stuff, you've got your wires coming through there from the main front panel. You've got Velcro tie downs as well. So these are kind of like the double action ones. So you can put cables through them, and also you can kind of undo it slightly and put some underneath that as well. So cable management is not going to be a problem. There's also tons of punch outs. So you've got a bunch along here, all down the side there, all down through here. So you should be able to do a very neat and clean build. Lots of depth here, about an inch of depth as well for cable management. So even if you're using like Corsair power supplies where they tend to have those kind of braided cables, not going to be any issues in here whatsoever. When it comes to hard drive storage, you can put 4 drives in here in total, and that comprises of 2 areas. So in this front section here, you've got 2 drive bays, both of which are removable. If you want to, you can take those out in their entirety. Choices down to you, or you can just take one of them out. So they are individually removable. And also got the cages, little plastic cages, so 3.5-inch drives or 2.5-inch drives. So you can put 2 drives in there. And also this section here, you can put 2 2.5-inch drives or a single 3.5 drives. So if you're looking at 3.5-inch drives, you can put 3. If you're looking at 2.5-inch drives, you can put 4, and kind of combinations thereof. So when it comes to the actual cabling itself, so the RGB cabling and for the fans, so that's all kind of pre-wired in there. So you've got 2 cables coming off of each fan. One is PWM, the other one is 3-pin 5-volt addressable RGB. They are daisy chainable in terms of the addressable RGB, which then plugs into this black cable, which comes from the control unit. So that goes into that. And then also there is a pass-through as well, if I can just find that in here somewhere. So that then gives you a female RGB connector, so you can plug that into your motherboard. If you press and hold the buttons on the front of the RGB controller, it switches over control to your motherboard, and yeah, all that kind of stuff. If you want to daisy chain some more RGB from the fans on the front, there is also some pass-throughs with a little cap on there. So you take that off there, you can then plug in an RGB strip or more fans, whatever you want to do, or connect up a splitter or a hub and have lots and lots of RGB. Choice is entirely up to you. So that's quite a neat system. The only thing I would say is the fact that the PWM connections for the fans, you've got 2 of them, would have been really nice to have a splitter or kind of like a junction box, or just something to make it so there's just one plug. because otherwise if you plug both of the headers in, because they're individual, then you're going to have to go into the BIOS and set both of the fans kind of pretty much the same speed. So yeah, it would have been really nice for them to add in a little combo splitter thing, so you can use one header, or even have daisy chainable. That would have been nice. But other than that, that is the only real downside of those particular fans. If you've got a motherboard with plenty of headers on, obviously not going to be a problem at all. So let's take a look at the rest of the cabling we've got here. So like I said, you've got the SATA plug. So that is to provide power for the built-in controller, and also it will take power for the fans as well to some extent. You've also got a USB 3.0 Type A header. So 2 cables on there, so that means 2 plugs. You also got USB Type C. Also, you've got your audio jack to plug into your motherboard to take the audio to the front panel. And in terms of wiring up the front panel, that's going to be really easy because all you've got is a single power switch connection. No reset switch, no hard drive LED, no power LEDs, just a single power switch. Nice and easy to set up. Like I said, loads of room in here for power supplies, and also the drive bays I didn't mention, they are actually adjustable and removable, and you can kind of move them forward, back, etc. So yeah, lots of flexibility there. And also there are some little rubber grommets on the bottom there, so if you've got a slightly cheaper power supply, which might be a little bit rattly, then it can rest on there very easily. Now if we take a close look at the bottom, so again, plastic feet, also you've got rubber dampeners on there to stop it vibrating. You can see there you've got the adjustment for the drive cage, so you can move it back a little bit should you want to, or like I said, remove them entirely. There's your filter, nice and easy to do, especially on this angle. Yeah, that's pretty much it. The only thing I would say possibly is the feet are a little bit on the shallow side, so if your power supply is one that gets a little bit hotter, or maybe it's on a carpet surface, which you really should never put a PC on, but if you're on a carpeted surface, there's a strong chance that that is going to block off any airflow. Alternatively, you can obviously put the power supply in the other way around, so fan up. That way it'll grab air from the inside of the case very easily. Switching around to the top section, so again, we've got our I/O. So you've got 2 lots of fan controls, or RGB controls I should say, really. So this one on this side on the left is for the fan itself, and this one on this side is for the outer ring. So by going through those, you've got the M button, and also you've got a C button. So M is mode, C is color, so you can switch through those. If you press and hold the M button or the mode button, it switches control from this panel to your motherboard. So yeah, that's pretty straightforward. Got a USB Type C connection on the front. You've also got your combo headset mic jack. Then you've got your power button in the middle, no LEDs on that. Then you've got your 2 color-coded USB 3.0 ports. And again, you've got the outer ring control for your RGB there. So yeah, overall, I think this is actually a cracking case. You get so much for the money. This originally came out, I believe it's somewhere in the kind of 70 to 80 pounds mark, maybe even nudging towards 100 in some instances. But now that it's down to 54 pounds, 95 pence, I think this is absolutely stunning value for money. And my previous kind of go-to case for that kind of price point would have been something like the GameMax F15, or possibly something like the Montech 903 Air Max, both of which we've reviewed on the channel. But I think this probably does beat it in terms of build quality. It's definitely got the build quality of the GameMax case, which was basically a Lian Li 215 in disguise anyway. But I think this, with the fan controller, with the fans, the 160mm fans, I think this is a really, really good solution. So if you're looking at building a basically a budget PC, the thing is with budget PCs, if you go too cheap on a case, you end up getting to the point where later on you think, oh, I'm just going to change the case, I'm getting sick of it now, or it doesn't do what I need to do, or it's got poor airflow, or the fans suck, whatever it is. But with this, you're paying £55, you get good quality components, you get Lian Li branding, you get a very strong functional case which can fit a load of stuff in there. Basically, there's nothing else really that you could want for this, other than possibly the inclusion of maybe a rear fan. That would have been nice. Maybe slightly taller feet for a bit of airflow for the power supply. But I think those are very, very minimal things. Overall, I think this is a cracking looking case with excellent build quality, and again, available in both black and white. Affiliated links will be in the video description if you want to check it out for yourself. But I think this is very highly recommended. Definitely, I would give this 5 stars very easily. That's 5 out of 5, not 5 out of 10. So if you're interested in this, check out the links. But I think this is going to wrap this video up. I've been Mike. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and hopefully we'll catch you in the very next video. Thanks for watching.